This is a machine that I've had for 2 years, right? And this is a Barudan Pro 3 2023 model. This one right here is a 24 Pro 3 also. This one, since I've had it the longest, I want to do a cleanup of all the grease and buildup that's in there. These are the take-up levers. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be removing the front face, and we're going to be reaching in there and pulling out the bar that holds all these different take-up levers. This is something that I recommend after a certain amount of time, because what happens is a lot of grease and dust builds up in there, and it essentially drops down to your garments, or the cleaner the better. But yeah, so the tools you will need are some type of light, a little thing to put all your screws in, and also your Allen keys, some tweezers, and your regular screwdriver that comes with your Barudan. The reason why I recommend this one the most, because this one is deep enough to where it works really good with the screws already on the Barudan. So you want to loosen that up. That screw or bolt, you don't want to take it out all the way. You just loosen it up slightly, and this slides right off. And same thing on the other side. You just loosen it up, and this thing will slide right out. And as you can see, it's all dirty. See all that buildup, grease. This is what we want to avoid. This is what we want to clean up, because as you're doing jobs, that falls down into your garments. Okay, so next step is we want to remove this front plate. To remove this front plate, we have to loosen up these two screws right here. And now let's remove this plate. So to remove this plate, it's kind of it's not difficult, but you do want to be careful because it's plastic, so it can break really, really easy. See, kind of gets stuck. Okay, what the? I don't know where I got stuck. Okay, there you go. So you kind of want to lift it up and then down and then out. And just take your time. Remember, these machines are very expensive and very delicate. This is not like a car where you could go a little bit more rough. But yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of different buildup, and it's not bad actually. So once you're in here, now this is a good time to look at your machine, look at your springs. I mean, overall, it looks pretty good. This machine, I use it a lot, and it looks actually really good. But this is what I want you guys to see. You see all that buildup and of all the different, lithium grease spray and over time. And this is what it starts building up here at the bottom. See, that's basically dust and grease, but essentially, eventually it will drip down to your garment, and it will just fall right on your garment. So that's what we're trying to clean up, this whole area right here. Overall, for being a machine that we use a lot, it's not bad. And keep in mind, I've never cleaned up this inside area in 2 years since I've had it. You do want to be careful. You don't want to rush the process. You want to be very clean. It's very important that you have a nice little setup where you're putting all your tools and things, because these things are small, so they can get lost really, really easy. The next step right now is to remove this piece right here. And the way we do that is by taking off all the threads. Once you take them all off, you don't want to let go, because it will just fall off, right? So now that I've taken all the threads off, I can release this, and I can hold all the threads, and we can put the thread to the top. That way it's out the way. Another thing you want to do is you want to look inside these little holes, because sometimes thread and dust and different things build up inside, and that can also cause a lot of thread breaks. Like I was saying earlier, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy with an embroidery machine, and I like digging and seeing how it works and how it functions. A lot of this is common sense. I mean, if you don't have oil on this, it's gonna seal up. It's gonna get so heated, and it's just gonna seal. Literally, it's gonna weld itself. So like I said, a lot of this is common sense. Yeah, you need a tech for certain things, but these types of things are so simple to do that you can do it yourself. You just have to take your time. You can't be on a rush or nothing like that. You have to make sure you are super focused, because these things are very delicate, but other than that, I'm not an expert or nothing like that. And I like making these videos just so you guys can see how it functions and all that. But yeah, let's try it again. So let's go to needle number 15. And another thing is, make sure that you do not touch your screen with grease or oil in your fingers. That's why I'm using my pinky. But because it will damage your screen, so you don't want that. Actually, let's go to needle number 1. That way we can go that way. And yeah, now this is actually better because we'll be able to see all the mechanism here and be able to reach, I guess, this side, and then we'll have to move it this way so we can reach that side. Yeah, so, and you don't want to loosen it up too much. You just want to loosen it up just enough that the bar can slide. But remember, we have another lock right here. So now let's move it to needle number, let's go to needle number somewhere more towards the middle. Let's go to needle number 7. That way we're literally in the middle. Now that we're here, let's see if I can reach this area. Can you record this side right here, please? So that they can see exactly where I'm going. So it's literally a little hole right here. Okay. And like I said, you don't want to loosen it up too much, just enough to where now we can slide this bar. So I can, with my fingers, I'm putting one finger on one side. I'm putting one finger here and one finger on the other side. So basically I push it in. I can push it in a little bit. And then we push it in a little bit more. See? So that pushes that needle bar. Show on this side real quick. Not the, I keep on saying the needle bar, but it's the take up lever rod. See that? See how it's coming out? And it literally can move the entire thing. So you don't want to push it out too far, because now we want to remove these take up levers one by one. So like I said, it's not that hard, but it is kind of delicate. So you want to take your time with this. You hold the needle. If I say count on the count, comment below how many times I've said the needle bar. Okay, so you want to hold the take up lever rod. I'm still not very familiar with all the embroidery machine terminologies. And then you want to pull it just slightly to where you can release the first one. Because essentially we want to take one out, pull the rod out. Take one out, pull the rod out, and like that, like little by little. You can't take it all the way. You could, but it's going to be a mess. So I want to take it one by one. So before we take these out, let's turn off this machine. Honestly, you know, I've seen some people on the internet working with them on, but I don't trust that process. So I'd rather turn it off, simply because I don't want to, you know, hit the button accidentally, or I know it won't start right away, but just in case, we want to avoid any issue or any of that. So yeah, now let's take off this first take up lever. And these take up levers are replaceable. You're supposed to replace these over a certain amount of time, because these take up levers are made out of plastic. So here's one. Look how dirty that is. Grease buildup and oil and all types of stuff. But you see that? And all this is building up right here. And look, all that. That's where the rod goes. So the rod goes in here. And then this take up this little hole right here. So when the machine moves, it has like this little thing here in the middle, depending on what needle you're on, right? And that's where it goes. So essentially it does this little mechanism where it goes up and down. So it goes here like that. So, but yeah, it's very dirty, as you guys can see. I would recommend cleaning it at least once a year. It doesn't really take that much time. Right now I'm taking a little bit longer because I'm explaining it as I'm cleaning. But so moving forward, let's remove all these different take up levers. We do want to make sure that this little washer, we save it. See? We do want to make sure that we don't lose this washer. This washer goes in between each take up lever. So now let's set it up right here. Let's set them all up right here. And like I said, it's very important to have a spot where you're gonna put these things at, because it's so tiny it could get lost really easy. And make sure that on both sides you don't have a washer, because there's definitely one here and one here, but sometimes the one here stays over there. So as you take them off, make sure you get that washer off and put it right there, and put your take up levers right here. But look how dirty it gets. It's gonna get messy, but you know, it's definitely over greased. Over the months we've been greasing these, and you know, lithium spray. So yeah, like I said, we want to remove one by one, and the way to do that is you kind of have to sneak up your hands underneath, and then you pull that rod out little by little, not too far, because then they're gonna fall off. And then once you have it off, then you can just simply take it off. See that? And like I said, make sure the washers. So here's the other washer right here. Boom. And that dark stuff, that, you know, dark gray, a lot of that is dust mixed with grease. But sometimes it could also be metal. Metal just, you know, shaves, little metal shaving, and over time, obviously. But so the way these are built is, this is some type of aluminum / stainless steel. So this part's metal and this part is plastic. So plastic over time wears out a little bit faster than metal. Depends on the use and all that stuff. But yeah, look how dirty these things are. You see all that buildup in there. Definitely not good. It's too much. You know what I mean? So, and these are very cheap to replace. They're not that expensive. In my case, I know that they're still good, so I don't want to replace them. But this is the same process that you would do if you were replacing them. So it's the same setup. In my case, I'm just taking them out, cleaning them, and putting them back in. But you could do the same thing to replace. Okay, so now let's keep going. And like I said, make sure you guys pull the rod out. See, this is, look, recording here real quick. See that? That's the rod right there. You see the rod? So watch when I pull it out. You see that? So when I pull it out, boom, another one, and then that's the washer right there. Another one. And you don't want to throw them, because we don't want to do any damage to them or anything like that. We just simply want to pull them out one by one. See that? And then you can't just pull it out without pulling the rod, because it will hit this thing right here. So you want to pull the rod out, and then you want to hold it, and then you want to get it out. That's it. So we're down to our last lever, and this is why we have to be careful, because these washers, as you're taking them off, they like to slide off. And then if it goes up in there, we're gonna have to remove the entire face just to get this. So but yeah, we're almost done with this part, and then now let's take up the last light, and then there you go. Okay, well, now we got the last one off, and then this one also has a washer at the end. So it's basically a washer at the beginning, a take up lever, and then a washer, a take up lever, a washer, and then at the very end there's also another washer. Okay. So yeah, now that we have this completely gutted, now we can reach in there and clean. And this is what I was saying, basically, all this buildup. Look at this. Look at this stuff. 2 years worth of buildup. You know, so basically now we can wipe that off with this. Wish I had some gloves. So definitely gonna be wearing some gloves next time I do this, which will probably be in a year. So now I can clean up as much as possible. And this is what I was telling you guys about this little hole right here. Yep, a little bit higher right there. So that little hole right there, that's an oil. That's for needle number 15 when you oil. So we want to get that stuff out of there because you don't want to seal that up. Let's see if I could use some type of needle or maybe one of these Allens. Unplug that. Yeah, because it likes to build up in there. And I forgot what this little hole is for, but I know it's to oil. I want to say the needle bar on that. And then, no, and meanwhile you're there, you might as well put a little bit of oil. See if it goes down. Yeah, it drains pretty fast, which is what we want. Yep, you see that? It drained. That's good. So essentially that thing right there spins around. So that goes up and down, boom, boom, boom. And then that's basically what moves your take-up levers, and then your needle bars are moved with the system in there. Down the road, I will take off this entire face and then check all that stuff in there. It's gonna be pretty cool to see all that system. And like I said, we want to clean this up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we do want to clean it as much as we can. So basically, let's take out this rod and just clean it. You don't want to drop this or anything like that. See how smooth it is? That's how we want to keep it. Want it nice and smooth. Who knows how much Barudan probably sells this thing for? Probably like $100. Everything's so expensive when it comes to embroidery. Like, it's crazy. So that's why it's important that we learn ourselves as much as possible. But yeah, it's very important that we learn as much as possible. Right now, basically, I'm just digging in with my towel and trying to get all this stuff out as much as possible. You see all that gunk? That's what we want. Let's be careful with this. Put that back there. And yeah, I mean, everything else looks pretty good. I mean, certain things that's going to be dirty because this is essentially like the inside of the engine. I mean, it's supposed to be filled up with grease and all that stuff. So I'm just double checking everything, making sure everything looks good. Let's see. Oh, nice. Okay. We're pretty much done cleaning up in here. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. It's just, general kind of cleanup, around the little area where there's no grease, that there's no movement. That's where you don't want the grease at. Like right here, there's no movement. So there's no need for grease to be right there. But yeah, now let's move on to cleaning up these take-up levers. Essentially, you grab the take-up lever, and as you guys can see, super, super dirty in the inside, everywhere, right? So let's wipe it down. You don't want to twist these. These are very fragile parts. These are the original parts that came with this machine. Like I said, this is my first time cleaning the take-up levers on this machine. Most people probably don't even clean these. They probably had their machines for years and Never even took the time to clean. Me personally, I love my machines. I really care about these things. And yeah, so you want to get all the gunk out of there as much as possible. Also right here, you do want to get that gunk off. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. See, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to clean it good enough. Another thing you want to keep an eye for is that little hole right there. That's where your thread goes in, right? So sometimes things get built up in there, and that can also cause thread breaks. So keep an eye on that. I do have like a quick little tip for that. Basically, you grab one of these, not the green one. In this case, let's grab the smallest size. You don't want it tight or you don't want it too loose. You just want it to pass through, right? And that's it. That's it. You don't want to scratch that, because then when your thread is going up and down, this is what pulls the thread up and down. Basically, you don't want it to have like any like nicks or anything like that. But yeah, let's keep cleaning these. So the ones that are clean, basically, let's set them over here. I don't have a whole lot of space, but we got to work with what we got. Then next step is, let's grab another one of these. Yeah, see all that? That stuff is what we don't want, because this could be metal shavings. This could be a lot of different, dust particles, and that's why you see it's that color, that grayish color. It's definitely dust or metal or who knows what. But essentially, that's what wears and tears your machine. Your parts on your machine is metal on metal. And so yeah, let's clean this up. Boom, as much as possible. And yeah, and you want to be careful not put any grease in there either. So as you're holding it, you kind of want to just, like I said, don't be too rough. These parts are kind of fragile. They're not very expensive. Okay, so right now we just finished cleaning all these take up levers. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Mainly just cleaning up inside here, also in here, and in that little thing right there. So that's it. Now this is our rod. So an axle. It's almost like an axle slash rod or whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not very familiar with all these terms, but basically you want to slide it in like that. And remember, the first thing that goes in there is a washer. So let's grab one of these washers. You guys can see at the very beginning, it can be a little bit difficult. So we could use these tweezers and just kind of set it on there. There you go. And then set it all the way to the back. There you go. Okay. So now that we have that, let's put our first take up lever. The take up levers have two sides. Basically, this side, it's like a metal side. And over here, it's all plastic. So basically, they go like that. And then this little groove right here goes basically right here. See that? It goes like that. Right here, though, on the inside. And so yeah, let's hold it. And then it's at an angle. It has to be done at an angle. So once you get one in, you push it in. And then another washer, and like that. And remember, these things have to be in one of each one of those little holes. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue adding all of the rest, and then we'll move on to the next steps. So I pretty much got them all on there. The next step will be to make sure that these are all lined up. With my fingers on both sides, you see that? I can push the entire. So basically I want to make sure that they're lined up. That way it doesn't hit, when it's going up and down, it doesn't hit any of the plastic or anything like that. Once I feel good that I've found like a nice spot, want to keep my finger on one side, and then I want to tighten up this side. So earlier we said this way we loosen it up. So on the right side, we have to go. But to, you know, each machine might vary a little bit. So make sure, just make sure it's straight. It is. And with my machine, I'm noticing that. So I'm noticing that this one in particular has a defect. So in my case, I'm probably gonna wait a little bit longer, but down the road I'm gonna replace them all anyways. But you know, this video is more for okay. There you go. So I got one side tightened. Now let's tighten the other side. And remember, the screw is right below, right there. It's like a little lock. And on this side, we go this way. It's hard to get in here, especially with my hands. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Damn it. Let's see if I can get it from the bottom up like that, like this. Yes, super hard to get in there, but it definitely has to be tight because it cannot move side to side or anything like that. There you go. So now, and you just want to tighten it up, you know, nice and tense. Don't want to over tighten. Feels good right there. And always keep an eye that all of these are nice and straight. So now let's tighten this one up again, or forward. Okay, feels nice and tense. Make sure that you can't move it. It does have a little bit of play, which is not a good thing. So that means we have to tighten up a little bit more. Okay. 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 Yep, and that's pretty much. Oh, so it's the entire head. Okay, that's pretty much it. Meanwhile we're here, we could oil these springs just slightly from the top. Not a whole lot, just enough. Now let's go. And like I said, I'm not no expert or nothing like that. I'm doing this, you know, just based on logic. Really nothing. See, everything sounds good. Now let's go back to needle number 1. Perfect. So it's all sliding really nice. I recommend spraying just right along that. Basically the washers in between little each take-up lever. So just lightly. And better to spray up top so it could go down. This will help your machine run smooth and like I said, a lot of this is gonna settle down. So, you know, you don't want to work on an order right away. You want to run some tests, get all this oil to settle down, and you know, that's about it. But besides that, there's nothing really there's nothing else in here. I'm just taking a look. It's definitely very dirty in the inside, but to get in there, I have to figure out a way to get this entire face off. So that's definitely going to be another level. So down the road, we're definitely going to learn how to do that, which will basically be removing this entire face plate, you know, needle bar area to get in the inside gut, you know, clean up all that stuff on the inside, and everything looks really good. Nothing seems to hit. Let's do a quick trim. So everything is good, thank God.